Bug Me by The Last Burning G. Why yes, we do eat our mates. We apologize in advance for any horrible karaoke songs you may feel obliged to sing at the end of this story. Those responsible have been sacked. Article 36, subsection 208, paragraph 3. No changeling may impersonate a living pony without that pony's express permission. Celestia cooed. Your attention to detail is legendary, Twilight. I'm so very proud of you, bringing those darling little changelings into Equestria's fold. She leaned in to nuzzle a suddenly stiff Twilight and whispered, Perhaps when all of this is over, I can reward you more privately. Paragraph 3, Chrysalis! Twilight grounded her hooves into the well-worn grooves on the creak desk. What part of that was unclear? The part where you're a sexually repressed workaholic? Disappearing in a flash of sickly green, Celestia reformed into something blacker and sleeker and muskier. Seriously, Sparkle, you need to get out more. And by get out, I mean get in. In? To bed with someone, anyone, or several someones, whatever you kinky ex-librarian types are into. Twilight held a hoof to her aching temple and fluttered her increasingly raging wings. Maybe I could take a little personal time if I had some help rewriting centuries of laws and regulations and statuses on impersonation, resettlement, citizenship. She threw her hooves up and rolled her eyes and huffed. And 100 other things I apparently have to do myself because you're too concerned with my sex life to help me pen any treaty. Priorities, Princess. There were at least 1,000 teeth in Chrysalis' grin. Priorities. We're up to our ears in paperwork, Chrysalis. Why? Twilight pleaded. Why does it matter to whom I choose to date, or when, or how? Because we're stuck together, my little book horse. Chrysalis sat back and sighed. You proved your case quite thoroughly. If my changelings are to become citizens of Equestria, they won't be able to do so by force. And Tirek, she added, shuddering, showed us that we can't survive on our own. We need ponies for sustenance, and as much as it pains me to admit it, we need you for security as well. Twilight nodded. Well, once your nation's full equestrian citizenship is affirmed, you'll have the complete protection of... Chrysalis raised an eyebrow. What, the Royal Guard? The Ponyville part-time posse? No, Twilight, I meant you. You specifically. The alicorn tried to let a raised eyebrow speak for itself, but eventually relented. Me? What, do you intend to post me as your door guard? Well, historically, most of my mates came from the ranks of the elite guard, so if you're offering... Chrysalis caught a flying vase, set it down gently, and continued. Integration, acceptance, citizenship for changelings. This was all your idea, Purple Smart. You convinced Sunbutt and Moonbutt to let us join all your delectable little pastel pastries. And the heavens alone know how. But you even got Lovebutt to acquiesce and give her blessing. She sauntered over to the little pony and extended a diaphanous wing across her. As much as it galls me to admit it, Sparkle, I owe you for that. If you let me, I'd reward you. How did this sound, Twilight Sparkle? Assistant, deputy, backup, concubine. There was a puff of air under her wing, scented vaguely like eau de teleporting miffed alicorn. She sighed and slowly lowered her wing. I do mean it, Twilight. I owe you. Which is why it pains me to see you cooped up, stressed, and drowning in self-denial. Twilight set her jaw for a moment, stifled a snarl, and deflated as she let out a long, draining breath. Fine, I admit it. I've been so occupied with work lately, I might have let my social life slip. A little. A little? Came the responding snort. Twilight, do you even know what day it is? One that ends in Y? And where are your friends? Well, Rainbow's flying? And Pinky probably has a party or something. And Spike? Twilight blushed and shrank and hung her head. Okay, I admit it. I don't know where they are. Your lizard was scooped up by his friend, the Dragon Lord, a week ago. They're off in the lava fields, pretending not to nuzzle. The rainbow one is nose deep in her Wonderbolt's trainer. In her training, you mean? Not in the slightest. And your Pinky pest is off inhaling a cheese sandwich. Speaking of which, I'm surprised she didn't lecture you on your utter lack of humor before she left. What do you mean? I find lots of things funny. I read the first draft notes of Bossino's theorem and I almost... Twilight found herself shaking her head in time with Chrysalis. Okay, well, maybe it's not everyone's cup of advanced tea substitute, she said as she looked down to her hooves and started to mumble. But I liked it. Chrysalis slid a little closer and sat down, a wing length away. Twilight, I've been here a week listening to you grumble about treaties and compacts and how to word the treaty exception to the impersonation rule. You haven't laughed once. Perhaps that's why everyone is avoiding you and your castle, and sadly, your bed as well. Maybe if you'd done more than leer at me the last week, we could have had this completed on time and I could have gallivanted about, or whatever I should be doing. I have a better idea, Bookbutt. Let's kill 3 or 4 love cats with one stone. I'm hungry and I'm in the mood for love. From Twilight's direction came a low and growing growl. Reluctant affection will have to do, I suppose. And you need to get out of this castle. A roll in the hay or 2, or 3 wouldn't hurt, unless you're into that. But at the very least, you need non-work related companionship. And that requires you to smile, princess. Twilight stomped to her desk and sat down with a thump. We don't have time for this, Chrysalis. So we should skip straight to the honeymoon. No? As I was saying, I have a proposal for you. If I can get you laughing, you agree to take me out on a date. Twilight blinked. You're out of your mind. Hardly. And I give you my word that afterwards, I'll help you reorganize all your legal and political affairs. Twilight blinked. Eventually. You're joking, right? Not yet, Sparkle, but I will be. You're insane. She shuddered a little and shook her head. And I must be too, if I'm even considering this. One date? One's all that it takes. And no tickling? Not that I'm ticklish, she stammered, pinkening a little. Won't need to. Although I will be feeling that little tidbit away for later. Fine, Queen. You're on. But we're already too far behind, so I want payment up front. We start on these treaties now, and you can joke while we work. Quite the interesting ending to part 1 of Bug Me. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next video. Paragraph 3, Chrysalis. Twilight grounded her hooves into the well-worn grooves on the creek desk. Twilight grounded her hooves into the well-worn... We need ponies for sustenance. And, as much as it pains me to admit it, we need you to... Twilight nodded. Well, once your nation's full equestrian citizenship is affirmed, you'll have... Maybe if you'd done more than leer at me for the last week, we could have had this completed on time, and I could have Maybe if you'd done more than leer at me the last week, we could have had this completed on time, and I could have gallivanted about, or whatever it is I should be doing. So we should skip straight to the I already messed up.